What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? It's OTB Radio, Day 2 here from the PLL Championship Series. I'm joined by your title?
Senior Director of Ticketing and Fan Experience.
Danny Passovoy with us. Very excited to have you on. A lot going on with ticketing and fan experience this week. Wanted to start off, kind of hitting on one of the bigger announcements earlier this month, I would say, with the homecoming passes.
Yeah.
Excitement level with that. What are fans what should they expect from the homecoming pass and kind of being the first ones to buy into their home teams, you know, essential season tickets?
This is excitement is through the roof, not just for the fans, but me personally. It's a really, really rare opportunity to take a team, take a stadium, and create what that experience looks like for fans on site. So for Atlas and Albany, there's never been momentum before. So how does that show up? There's never been like full signage and wrap of the stadium. And for fans who are Atlas fans in Albany, to be able to use this opportunity to build better community and feel that in the stadium for their team, because in the past it's been, you look at the stands and 8 different jerseys on kids, and that's amazing because they're developing better relationships with players and all of that. But now to be able to see it and see all Atlas fans in the stands and a goal and defense chance, that kind of stuff is going to be really cool. And for season tickets, what does it look like for us? And knowing that we're only going to be there once, it's hard to create something that exactly uniform to what like the Yankees would do or something like that. So what's our version of it? It's making sure that pricing is staying affordable, that we're not burning a hole in anyone's wallet, but that you have your same seats every year, you have unique connections to teams, and much more is going to be rolled out. But I think it's going to be really exciting for fans.
We've seen over the years kind of the markets that you guys have traveled to embrace certain teams. Obviously, the past couple of years, Philadelphia full send embracing the Water Dogs. 2019 in the playoffs, Ohio embracing the Redwoods. Now they're in California. To kind of have that exposure across, different markets and everything, to see that come to life with all of the markets you guys now have with the home cities. How exciting is that for you?
It's really cool, and it's actually great that you bring up the Ohio example back in 2019, because a lot of what we do now is predicated on that. That was, I think, I was here February 2019, so I've seen the whole kind of thing, and that event in Columbus was the first time that we had a major group of people supporting one team. I think they're all there for either Sergio or Nat or something along those lines, and it was a giant crowd of people, all Redwoods, and our thought process is, how do we recreate that? And homecoming markets allowed that. So we think of that example all the time, actually.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it was like, you kind of remember that happening, and it's like, okay, that was a moment. And then, the past couple years at Subaru Park, where you see like the Water Dogs flags flying like it's a soccer game almost, and seeing Philadelphia kind of embrace what the Water Dogs, are and have come to be. How exciting is it to kind of embrace that market where Philadelphia has been a huge spot for you guys?
It's the coolest. My parents live in LA. They were able to come to LA All-Star in 2019 and then San Jose All-Star in 2021, and they hadn't been to an event since. So they flew across the country for the championship, saw it, and their seats were plastered right in the middle of the Water Dogs section. So now they're giant Water Dogs fans because they got to meet all these people and enjoy it. But having already like existing relationships between fans and their teams is really cool, and to be able to play a role in what this next phase of that looks like is really great. And we've done a lot of work to understand that community, do surveys, reach out, and like really figure out like what do they connect to? How do we build locality in? What kind of food should we have on site? What kind of cheers should we do? How do we integrate with other teams so that it always feels authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest challenge, but also the biggest opportunity is how do you make it feel like this is your team, proud to wear it across your chest, even though we're only there once. And that's going to pop up in different ways, not just on their like on-site experience, but also what else we do in the community, how we connect to nonprofits, how do we connect to youth, how do we create opportunities for fans to spend time with players outside of this event weekend. So you're going to see a whole lot more get rolled out in that way, but what's most exciting is what it's going to feel like on site.
And to have, an event like the Champ Series have 4 teams for the first time representing those markets in a centralized place, how big of a weekend is that for you guys to kind of capitalize on these 4 markets, the fans that are here, and trying to get them, tickets and have them show up for their homecoming weekend for their favorite team?
It's crazy. I was sitting with our COO the other day on Wednesday, and we were like sitting on the field for runouts, and they were like the California Redwoods. And just hearing it for the first time live and in person is absolutely bonkers. And I think that we're underscoring what that moment is, the first time that that team is actually legitimately playing as their home team for the first time. So it's really great to build affinity. It's really great to get those audience starting to get involved, follow their team. The Philly Water Dogs are all over social right now, so it's really been cool, and to have this type of event where we can start to showcase these teams and build better affinity is really cool.
And you look at this, and obviously it's the top 4 teams who make it for the Champ Series. How much do you think the 4 teams who missed out are missing out on such a huge event like this, and kind of like chomping at the bit to know like next year we got to be here?
We heard it all last year. First Albany weekend, and when we were on site, it's funny because just over the 4 years, I've gotten to know a lot of these players, and like on the ticketing side, we take care of all their families, so we really know them, and they're texting me throughout this event, they're texting me throughout the event last year, like, I gotta get there. Like, this is just way too cool, and it's additional money in their pocket, right? So it's cool to be at like the St. James in a place like this in which we get to fully create what the experience looks like, from suites to bar down to Premier Zone, what's on the video board, way more so than most other events. But it's very cool to have this type of event. The players love it, not just the environment, but the pace of play and sixes. So, we definitely hear from them after.
And you look at just the home markets and being able to tap in ticket-wise. Going into that, how pivotal was the feedback from the fans to know where they wanted their teams to end up, and kind of collecting that data and sifting through all of that? How much of a process was that for you guys on the ticketing side?
It was huge. We spent a lot of time, and the short is like there's just no perfect answer. At some level, some folks, some cities are going to be disappointed, and our goal is to get there, so that we're hitting every location, and certainly like fan bases that we've been to before that have a really strong passion for the PLL. Our goal is to get to that next phase. And right now, let's just do these 8 right and make sure that we're growing this thing organically, we're building the right relationships locally, and creating that pathway to add more is really exciting. And for the ones that did get a home team, the excitement is through the roof. And for the ones who didn't, we're coming. But we got to make sure that we get these right.
And, one of the things that stood out to me on the schedule this year, obviously, you have the 2 neutral site games of places that have been fantastic turnouts, I would say, just from attending Fairfield every single year has been unreal. But then also, for the first time, going back to Louisville for the All-Star game back-to-back years. What has that market been like? It feels like such a unique, like, space to go to for lacrosse, not really mentioned in the breadth of lacrosse, really, but last year's All-Star game seemed like a wild success. To go back to the same spot back-to-back years, how has that kind of relationship in Louisville kind of formed out ticketing-wise and just, fan turnout-wise in a market that's kind of non-traditional?
It's a great question, and I think that we had a strong inclination that it was going to perform well. We had existing relationships. The local sports tourism board and mayor were incredibly great to work with. So they helped make introductions, and we had some relationships in the area, but I don't think that we expected just the pop in immediately. And it's always interesting when you're considering an existing hotbed versus a place that is like really growing in lacrosse and really hungry for it. It's like for the hotbeds, like we really try and like do things the right way and build relationships, but the community's already really large. For Louisville, that when was the last time that they had like something substantial come to their city for lacrosse in particular? And apologies if there has been, but the feedback was so strong right out of the gates, and they were so appreciative and hungry for it that our decision was like, let's continue to reward that and appreciate their loyalty and elevate this event year over year. Coming back to the same city means a lot. Building relationships year over year means a lot, and rewarding folks who are like in it with us from the beginning and wanted to hop on board. Like, we're excited to go back and excited to see those people again.
And it feels the same way for those two neutral site games, too, with Fairfield, with Minnesota, two spots that have had wild success, have had a ton of turnout from fans across the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Those markets feel like they're just, like, chomping at the bit, and I feel like they're excited to at least be on the schedule again this year and kind of prove that, hey, we may have missed out on a home team, but don't forget about us.
100%. I mean, both of those venues in particular are amazing, but the audiences in both of them are just all in PLL, and to be able to work with people like that who are so collaborative, and I'm talking like the youth lacrosse scene from rec to club, it's just like permeates at every level, like how much passion they have for lacrosse, like how excited they are to grow the game in those areas. Fairfield is a whole different story, but the crowd itself is so passionate about it, and to be able to like go back to those types of places really matter. But Fairfield in particular is one that's so fun. It's just a perfect size for us. The crowd is always into it. And Minnesota is always a great audience, but the venue itself is also so premium and so nice, and they're great to work with that. For the players, a lot of the time we balance, all right, what is the right opportunity, right size stadium for the PLL? What is the right size opportunity to make sure that it's a great crowd and that we're growing every year, but also like what is experience for the players? And when you go to a venue like TCO in Minnesota, where the Vikings, practice and everything like that, the facilities are just beautiful. And for the players, hotels right there, you walk right to the stadium. It just fits the mold in every kind of way. So we love those places. We're going to continue going back as often as we can.
Philadelphia on the regular season schedule for the first time this year, too. How do you kind of, not temper expectations, but, differentiate your expectations from going to a venue in Philadelphia at the University of Villanova versus the traditional Subaru Park, the championship has been held, where a semifinal's been held, and kind of, managing the ticketing experience there with a different stadium in a market you've been to before?
It's one that I'm super excited about. When I look at the calendar right now and where we're going to go and where home teams are going to land, that's maybe the one that I have on the calendar that I'm most excited about. Not just because of Villanova. We went on a site visit there maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's just perfect. Like there's so much that we can do with that stadium and how it's going to look and feel, but also the community in Philadelphia and how excited that they've been. And you mentioned homecoming passes earlier. We have just an incredible amount of support right off the gate for the Water Dogs, and what we get to create on site and what we get to create for their experience is amazing. And we've partnered with a great tournament out there with Victory that 250 teams playing games right there. So I'm tempering my own expectations, but I'm really excited for that one and what we're going to be able to do.
And I mean, the entire schedule is in that PLL app, and download the app.
Definitely download the app.
And you can redeem code OTB, POD, OTB pod in the app for 500 XP this week during Champ Series. 500 XP is a lot.
It's a lot of XP, and we haven't fully announced this yet. Probably feel comfortable to do so here, but homecoming passes also come with additional XP. So you got a deposit. You also get some XP toward toward PLL Nation, and much more to come.
So keep locked in, get your tickets
Yes.
for the upcoming season. Enjoy Champ Series. Use code OTBPod. Danny, thanks for hopping on OTB.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and excited for a few more days of great games.